Hey, welcome to day 9. Today I'm going to teach you about a guitar accessory that is very handy, and it's called a capo. So today's going to be focused on this little bit here. Let me try to put it into the camera so you can see it better. This is a guitar capo, okay? What this is meant to do, and we're going to go through more of a description in a moment, is this is allowing you to bar an area of your strings in order to change the pitch of the guitar. It's a really handy tool. It's got a lot of good use cases to change pitch and whatnot. It definitely is a singer's best friend sometimes as well. So we'll get into why that is, and we'll give you some exercises as well to be able to check out and be able to see what a capo is and how it's being used. Okay, I'll also give you some links on how you can go about getting one of your own if you'd like to be able to purchase one. They're like $5, $10 in most cases. They're really not that expensive. You can get them just about any music store, Amazon, definitely, Walmart, whatever. So I'll give you some links on being able to find one if you would like to be able to purchase one. You'll need one if you want to follow along with today's activities though. So I highly recommend it if you can. If not, save this video and come back to it when you have the ability to do so, okay? So what else we're gonna look at today? So we're gonna look at using a capo. I'm gonna show you how you can transpose keys, which is basically changing keys of a chord, which I just demonstrated very briefly to you. And let me give you some tips on how to use a capo so you can change the pitch of any song. Okay, so you can change a key of a song at any way that you want using this capo, okay? So let's go check it out. All right, so before we get started talking about a capo, I want to briefly do a recap on what we discussed yesterday, expanding on the C major scale, and think about the chords, specifically the chord shapes that you play when you're playing the C major scale, okay? So you got that C, you got D minor, you got E minor, F, G, A minor, and even that B minor diminished, right? Which was that 2-3-2-3 that I showed you, right? Even including your bar chords and everything else that's within the C major scale. So what I want you to think about is the shapes specifically with that, okay? So just imagine those shapes in your mind. And now I want you to think about your musical alphabet. Remember when I introduced you to your musical alphabet and how moving up a fret or down a fret is a different letter and pitch of what we're dealing with, right? So this is the interesting way that a capo can change the pitch of what you're working with in an entire range of the guitar. So let's take, for example, so let me describe to you for a moment what I mean by that. So let's take a C, okay? So let's C open just like this, okay? Now, if I move without changing anything else with the guitar, okay? If I move this C shape up 2 frets, but I don't change the pitch or anything else of this open string that's here, right? Let's take a look at what that sounds like. It sounds different, right? Doesn't necessarily sound bad, but it's different. Now let's take it on and off. Let's go to a in between. So we're going to do a minor of this. Yeah, sounds a little weird, right? It's not necessarily what you would probably want to be playing in most cases with those chords. They sound strange. Well, what if you wanted to be able to move the pitch up, right, for what you're playing and have it be something where you can do that across all the strings, right? So those opens or anything else will all be in the same key, so you can play it that way. Well, this is exactly what a capo is going to help you with, okay? So this is made to bar across all your strings at a fret marker. And I'll get into exactly how you place the capo a little bit more in a moment. But putting the capo on right now, okay, is going on the first fret here, is going to change the pitch of what we're playing. You hear that? Everything went up. It went up in pitch. Okay. Now, if I go to play this chord, where we usually would, you have a different pitch. that's happening here, okay? Pretty cool, pretty cool. So this is C sharp right now, okay? Now let's move the capo up another fret to the 2nd fret and go to play this again, okay? Now we're in the key of D. Okay, so you get operating in whole new key signatures when you start to step up with a capo holding this. You can essentially think of like where your tuning was before with the same amount of string tension going across the nut here. This is basically like capping off where the nut is usually holding back with that tension to make it higher. All right, so you can move all of these shapes around. So we don't necessarily have to worry about being able to call out specifically what notation you're playing on at that point. For the most part, you could say, well, I'm playing a C shape, right? A C major chord shape with a capo on my 2nd fret. All right, I want you to think back for a second. Do you remember that second exercise song that we played on day 6? If you don't, and I'm sure you probably don't because of all of the other things that I've thrown at you, here's a reminder down at the bottom. We're going to take a look at that song. And that song basically consisted of you being able to play different chords, 3 chords, a C, F, an A minor, and then back to an F again, all right? So what I want to be able to do is slightly vocalize playing that song going across, and then I want to show you changing the pitch with a capo. Again, using a capo is really a musician and really more to the point, a singer's best friend. If a song you're singing or attempting to sing is in a different pitch than you are comfortable in singing, you can change that by using a capo potentially. So for example, if it's too low and you need that to come up a little bit more, then a capo is a perfect opportunity to use because you can literally raise the pitch, but you only have to learn the song in one key. If you learn it in the key of C and playing in this set of position here, and you keep moving those shapes up, they'll work. You can absolutely play the song the same way. You'll just be moving up the fretboard with your capo on a specific value of a fret, okay? So let's take a quick look at that song again. I'm going to play it really slow, okay? We don't have to even go the same speed that we went before because I want you to think about being able to visualize, pitching and being able to do this. Now, I'm not a singer. You might not be a singer either. You might say, I hate singing. I don't want to do that. Well, hear me out for a second. This is a little bit helpful just to understand pitching. Okay, so let's take it slow. Let's start with that C and go la, 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 la. And then let's move to that F. Okay, da, 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 da. And do that A minor. Da, da, da. Back to that F again. Okay, so that's the pitching for being able to play that first song in the standard tuning, okay? Now let's take a capo and let's raise that pitch up. Let's put it on the 2nd fret here. And then let's try to play this again. And you're going to see that you're going to raise that pitch up a little more, okay? So let's try this. All right? Da, 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 da. You see that? See how that raised? Well, this is exactly where it is. Now, where you would be comfortable singing, right? If you're needing to go a little bit higher, this is exactly what you can do to help that. So with the same sets of chord shapes, you can raise the pitch and be able to play this song to a place that's more natural, more comfortable for you. Okay, so here's a pro tip for you when you're using your capo. And this is definitely something that I want you to remember. Make sure that when you're going to be placing your capo near a fret, that you place it close to right behind the fret that you want to be playing on. Okay, so if you're trying to go for the 1st fret, don't put it up here by the nut, okay? You hear how the notes sound muted? They're not ringing out open, see? I'm trying to do this, but they're not ringing out cleanly. It's because there's not enough pressure to make that note fretted properly. Remember all the way back to our beginning days? When you fret, you want to fret as close to the fret as possible, the one you're trying to aim at, because that's where the right amount of tension is. Else, your strings are going to be muted and sound like this. So where you fret is as close to the back side of the fret that you're trying to go to as possible. So in this case, right at the edge of that first fret is where you want to be. Everything's nice and even, it rings open and cleanly now. Now, if you do the same thing, if you put it right over the fret, that same kind of muting can happen. It's not nearly as extreme as last time, but it gets close to it, okay? So as a pro tip, make sure to always put your capo in positioning right behind the fret that you're going to be able to play, okay? All right, so that was an introduction to a great accessory that you can have that's really handy. I would really recommend you spending the $5, $10 to get a capo. Even if you don't really plan on singing or doing anything else, it's a great thing to have. It's really good to have around the house when you want it. And as you start to explore more songs and music, you might very well find that you have a lot of reasons as to why you would want to be able to explore the different pitches using the shapes that you're familiar with, okay? So I definitely want you to do that. I want you to explore chord shapes using a capo if you have one. It's a really, really good thing to do. And as I mentioned before, if you need help finding the right capo for you, I'm gonna give you a couple of places you can purchase them. But you can get them just about at any music store, so don't worry about that. But I'll give you a couple opportunities of links to be able to go find them in stores if you like, okay? And you might find as you go exploring these same shaped patterns of chords in different keys, you might find some that really jump out to you, that inspire you to play something different, or just completely reimagine a song that you're familiar with, okay? So, as always, thanks for coming. I'm super proud of you for sticking with it, and I'll see you tomorrow.